Greetings and salutations, you beautiful people. 2:50 a.m. on my way to my favorite destination, the local gym. It's best with you. My pastor, he's a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Been one all his life. And now he's been able to pray over the team. We have some of the members that come to our church. And I remember him telling a story about he had invited a couple of the players over. I mean, if Pittsburgh has always been your team and you grew up playing football and you have the opportunity to invite somebody from your favorite team to your house for dinner, why would you not? It's a dream, right? So he says he invites these guys over. And he said what struck him as a little bit strange was the fact that they brought their own food. They brought their own food. And he says, hey man, let me ask you, the food here ain't good enough, or probably in joking. And they say no, we're on a strict diet. There's things that we specifically eat. And, we didn't want to offend you, but we also did not want to offend ourselves by taking in something that may or may not agreed with us, simply for the fact that, our career is predicated on what we eat and what we digest. And he didn't take offense to that because he understood that they had put so much time and effort into their craft, into their skill, into their trait, that they were not willing to do anything at the end of the day to jeopardize that, even if that meant being invited somewhere and maybe offending the person that invited you, because they were not willing to forsake the sanctity of their body. And as I got to thinking about that, I thought that how much that should apply to every aspect of your life. I think we pay more attention to if we offend somebody else versus if it offends us, that we go places that we don't feel comfortable just because we were invited. We hang out around people because they invited us, even though we don't feel good about how they make us feel. We're always constantly catering and pandering to other people's feelings, first and foremost, as if what I feel is optional. I had a crazy talk with my wife, and this is along the same lines of what I'm talking about, which is after I die, the world ceased to exist. And I mean that in a way that once I pass away, I no longer know that the world is still here operating in its normal facility. Why? Because I am dead. Therefore, it doesn't even matter. So if the world ceases to exist once I die, in my mind, then that would mean that the world revolves around me. Now, I'm not saying that in a self-centered kind of way, because I think that giving of yourself to other people is probably the best thing that you can do. Being observant and being in the now is the thing that you can do. And you can only do that by being not selfish. But to put some other need ahead of your own, to put somebody ahead of your own, that's the equivalent of a homeless man who's got 2 arms, 2 legs, asking you for $1 that you're getting ready to put into the machine to get on the bus to ride to a job interview. If you deprive yourself of that $1 to get on that bus and forsake it to give it to the homeless man, then not only do you hurt yourself, but you hurt him, because now you can't give more to him because you've just disabled yourself from getting to a point where you can do better. And if you can do better, you can give better. If you give better, then you can love better. Everything becomes better when you start with yourself. That's not selfish. That's being understanding. That's understanding that the world revolves and starts with you. And I'm pretty sure the pastor was probably offended initially. But you give anybody with some common sense enough reason, they can come to a conclusion that makes sense and says, oh, I get it. You've sacrificed, therefore you're not willing to do anything that's going to jeopardize your sacrifice. Got it. That makes sense. But it's almost like people will like to sacrifice themselves just to come back and complain and have an alibi excuse for why things ain't working out. Well, I did this for you, and that's why this over here ain't working, because I took my last and gave it to you. Well, maybe you should have took into consideration who you were giving it to, and maybe that would have allowed you to put yourself first. That way, next time when they ask for your last, there would never be a last, and you would be in a position to give an abundance. But because you gave of what you didn't have to somebody who didn't care, the only return you got on that investment was a complaint or was an excuse. This life game is real simple. You got some choices. And if you don't know how to make a choice and you don't know how to come to a decision, the best way I can tell you how to fix that problem is to make a lot of decisions every single day. And then you'll become great at making a decision. And when you put yourself first, then you're able to do for others far more than giving to people any part of you that you can't afford to sacrifice. That's from my heart. Can't do it. And that goes for anybody. Anybody and everybody can get it. Everybody.